More than 90,000 new COVID cases today, and the president all in on lying about the pandemic. More than 86 million ballots cast, and both candidates now campaigning as though everything is on the line. And politically, of course, it is. Our next guest, Tom Friedman, best-selling author of Thank You for Being Late and many others, believes far more is at stake, as in everything that makes this country what it is. Quoting the lead paragraph from his latest piece in the New York Times, there is no escaping it. He writes, America is on the ballot on Tuesday. The stability and quality of our governing institutions, our alliances, how we treat one another, our basic commitment to scientific principles, and the minimum decency that we expect from our leaders, the whole ball of wax is on the ballot. And Tom Friedman joins us now. Tom, you say that it's not just America on the ballot, that this weekend, you said, may be the, quote, last weekend of America. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, I'm sitting here in my home outside of D.C., Anderson. I'm really asking myself that question. Is this the last weekend of America as we know it? Because it won't be, certainly, if Joe Biden wins a kind of landslide victory that your previous commentators were talking about, if he can win a clear victory. It won't be if Donald Trump wins a clear victory. But if Biden wins a narrow victory, it's very clear what the president is going to do. He's going to challenge every single ballot in every single state. He's going to try to drag out the counting, delegitimize as many votes as possible, and he will create a situation, Anderson, where we will have something we have never had before. We will not be able to elect a legitimate successor president to this president. And when you break something like that, people need to appreciate when you break something like that, the United States of America and its ability to freely and fairly elect a legitimate successor, getting it back when you break it, boy, that will be really, really hard. So I have a pit in my stomach.
What are the ripple effects of, say that's the scenario, it's too close, it's in the courts, and the courts end up deciding, one candidate refuses to accept it, leaves, whatever happens. What do you think the ripple effects are of that, both in the country and globally?
Well, let's start with the country. Al Gore, back in 2000, bowed to the will of the legitimate Supreme Court. Al Gore took a bullet for the country. Donald Trump will put a bullet into the country in order to stay in power. So let's start there. I think if he does, I think Democratic voters already feel raw and cheated about the way the last two Supreme Court seats were decided and installed in the court. Already raw. If they now see Trump actually try to steal the election by contesting legitimately cast ballots, I think people will be in the streets in very, very large numbers. And eventually there'll be violence. And once it starts, there's no predicting where it can go. When you break something like this incredible system we've been bequeathed by, our forefathers, getting that toothpaste back in the tube will be really, really difficult. And that's why I pray there's only one body that can save us now, Anderson. That's the American people. You don't count on our Secretary of State or our Attorney General or any of these senators. Forget it. It's over. It's too late. The only thing that can save us is if the American people go out and an overwhelming majority of them vote for Joe Biden. And if I have one wish, Anderson, if you were my genie and you said, Tom, you get one wish, what would it be that would be the greatest thing for America? The greatest thing for America is if Joe Biden won Texas. Because if Joe Biden won Texas, it would break this fever in the Republican Party. It would blow that party up. The sane, moderate Republicans, I think, would reemerge. I could see then Biden actually forming a national unity government that would include everyone from AOC, on one side to a few Republicans on the other. We actually get back to a national unity government. And the Trumpers, Donald Jr. and Donald Sr. and the whole clown car can go off on Fox and do their thing and start their own network, whatever they want. But my real hope is if somehow Texas, I'll even take Georgia, Anderson, because that would blow up this version of the Republican Party and give us what we desperately need, which is a truly conservative party, not a cult of Trump, because we won't have a healthy liberal party if we don't have a healthy conservative party.
If former Vice President Biden wins Texas, You think that could be a watershed moment for the Republican Party? Can you
Exactly.
Because
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It'll force the reckoning if they lose Texas. That will be such a shock to the system that it'll be the same kind of shock that the two wins that Obama gave them, that they were supposed to force a reckoning. And remember, they did this whole study, to why did we lose? We need to reach out to Hispanics and minorities and women and deal with issues like climate. And then Trump just derailed that whole rethink of republicanism and turned it into the cult of Trump, which has been so unhealthy for the conservative movement, for conservative ideas, and so unhealthy for the country, because we need a healthy conservative party. If we have a healthy conservative party that actually can collaborate with a healthy liberal party, we can get back to being the country we want to be and need to be.
You write in the latest op-ed in the New York Times about the president saying, if we reelect him, this is a quote, if we reelect him knowing what a norm-destroying, divisive, corrupt liar he is, and the world will not treat the last 4 years as an aberration, it will treat them as an affirmation that we've changed. The world will not just look at America differently, but Americans differently, and with good reasons. Well, I mean, what about the idea that America is bigger than any one leader?
Well, it really is this idea that every democracy, or many democracies in their histories, Anderson, have taken a flyer on a populist, fast-talking, con man. I come from Minnesota. We had a governor we took a flyer on like that. It happens in history. You can do it once, but when you do it twice, then it's no longer about who he is. It's about who you are. The whole world will look differently at us if we were to reaffirm and reelect this man, because then the world will actually start looking at us really like it looks at Russia and China, just another transactional country. They'll look at us as a country that decided to change the Statue of Liberty from giving you're tired, you're poor, those seeking, to be free, yearning to be free, to get the hell off my lawn. That's what the Statue of Liberty will be saying. Get the hell off my lawn. And that will affect the whole world. Because, Anderson, the world likes to make fun of America. They love to make fun of our naivete. We think every problem has a solution, but deep down they envy our naivete. They envy our optimism, because these are people who come often from very cynical and corrupt countries. And the fact that they always know out there in the world that there's this place called America, somewhere over the rainbow, where they do have free and fair, honest elections, where you can get things done in the court without corruption, knowing that place is out there, and that actually will speak up for human rights and the right values around the world. That is so important for the world. And if we go dark, the whole world goes dark.
Have you seen the country on edge like it has been in these final days?
Never in my life. I just know how I feel with my family and my friends. I have a hard time watching the news. Because I think, as I said in that column, Anderson, America's on the ballot. Don't kid yourself, folks. Everything's on the ballot. And if there is one thing we have learned about Trump, he does not stop at red lights. There is no bottom there. This is a man also, I think we should come to terms with the fact, people are hoping that his followers will see the light or whatever. He told us early on, he told us early on that he can shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and his followers will stay with him. And in those rallies you were showing before, I came on, you can still see that. The important thing also about defeating Trump, Anderson, is this. The good Lord, he did one good thing for us. He only made one of him. Thank God he only made one of him. And if he is defeated, I don't think you will see someone like that emerge very quickly again. Thank God.